Oxford Dictionary's word of the year for 2024 was brain rot, which is the supposed deterioration of a person's mental or intellectual state, especially linked to overconsumption of trivial or unchallenging material, mostly online. So, you're a consumer. Big Macs, ideologies, reels, your parents' life savings, anything you can get your hands on, really. You've been programmed to consume, like a pig at a digital trough, rolling around in this algorithmic shit, blissfully unaware that they're prepping you to be slaughtered. Only difference is that it's not your flesh that's up for grabs, it's your consciousness. You're supposed to be evolving. Some would even say that's the only obvious purpose of life. But instead, you've been plugged into the matrix, your soul being sucked out of you, and not in the fun way either. Consuming mindlessly is making you spiritually constipated. You need to let that shit out. And the answer isn't another dopamine detox. In this video, I'll show you why creation is the solution you're looking for, and how you can turn your life around by starting to create. I think we misunderstand nostalgia. We say we miss being kids, but that's not really it, is it? We miss how we lived as kids. The freedom, the presence, the way we got lost in what we created. Back then, we weren't optimizing or worrying about algorithms. We were just creating for the hell of it. Somewhere along the way, we lost that. Or maybe we just gave it away. Then we grew up and society turned us into zombies. The average person takes in around 74 gigabytes of data every single day. That's like watching 16 full-length movies back to back. 500 years ago, that's the total amount of information a highly educated person would have consumed in their entire lifetime. So, if you're constantly feeling drained, irritable, and mentally fried, it's no surprise. You're cramming a lifetime's worth of input into just 24 hours. This is the result of rapid technological progress. But is it actually making our lives better? Are we gaining anything from this information overload? Or is it just leaving us more frustrated, powerless, and frankly, dumber? We have to face it, we're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse right now. Most people go about their day as mindlessly as zombies. The only way to unzombify yourself is to go from consumer to creator. And just to be clear, when I say creator, I don't just mean being a content creator online. You need to produce more than you consume in all areas of life, whether it's financially, physically, or intellectually. You take in energy from the food you eat in the form of calories. If you don't burn off those calories by going to the gym, or going for a run, or playing a sport, or doing any sort of physical activity, your body will store those extra calories as fat and you'll turn physically obese. It's pretty simple. If you keep taking in mental calories in the form of knowledge and information from books, audiobooks, podcasts, and courses, and if you don't do anything to burn those calories off by using that information to create something of your own, you'll get mentally obese. The way to get mentally athletic and to get mentally jacked is to create more than you consume, is to use all of the information that you're gathering to create something of your own. The process of creation demands all of you, needs all of your cognitive capabilities to be harnessed into a single point. All ancient cultures have their own version of unminding the mind. Yogis had pratyahar, the samurai had mushin, and Gandalf, of course, had his love of the halfling's leaf. Most spiritual traditions and cultures have their own mystical practices to achieve this state of unminding the mind. From hyperventilation to crazy contortions to calling on bloodthirsty sex demons to seek blessings of peace. Dudes have always been bending over backwards to escape the tyranny of their own minds. The bloodthirstiest demon of them all. A demon you have to keep engaged and entertained. The mistake most people are making today is that they're choosing to do this by way of mindless consumption. They're bombarding the mind with stimulation like it just aligned with the Third Reich. This bombardment subdues the mind temporarily, but the radiation strips the soul. Mindless consumption is the worst way to unmind the mind because the soul pays the price. Creating engages the mind in the holiest of ways. Doesn't matter what art form you're practicing, whether it's writing, boxing, entrepreneurship, or spray painting dicks on walls. What matters is that you stop being a zombie and bring your full awareness to the activity. Wake up from this dreamless sleep of stupefied existence and start living like you were meant to. I mean, you've tried everything else, right? Why not try doing something you actually enjoy? Something that gets your juices flowing. The more you create, The more control you gain over your mind, indirectly having more control over your life. There's a certain electromagnetic bandwidth allotted to the mind. Most people squander it on fantasies, daydreams, and the never-ending circle jerk of meaningless thoughts. You spend it on fake scenarios running around in your head all day. And when you need to create something, you run low. The more you let your mind wander unchecked, the more you deplete these cognitive resources. If the mind is made sharp and single-pointed, you can direct this energy in a conscious and steady stream to create as you want. Focusing your mind turns it into a weapon of mass creation. This requires disconnecting the senses and the popcorn mind from the make-believe movie that's always playing in your head. There's a lot of spiritual practices that you can do to achieve this, but the best way to get started is to dedicate all of yourself towards creating something. Creating is the most foolproof way of being present, giving all you have to a singular moment. The path to oneness with the universe begins with unifying all of the different fragmented aspects of self and directing them towards a goal. Unification of selves begins with overcoming the mind, but the mind cannot be overcome, it can only be harnessed. Being in flow is the dankest state of being. Maximize the amount of time you spend in flow each day. Focusing on creative output gets you to a place where you can start thinking what you can offer the world instead of what you can take. When you're just consuming, you're splashing around in the shallow end of the consciousness pool. You need to ditch the floats and start swimming with the big boys. The creative immersion you had as a kid is still there. The childlike state of absolute presence, the ability to lose yourself completely in the moment, hasn't disappeared. You just have to create to access it. I don't remember who said this, maybe it was Einstein or Edison or someone like that. If you can't explain a concept to a 5-year-old, you don't understand it well enough yourself. That's what happens when you start with the intention of sharing your work with someone. A few months ago, I started writing articles on Medium. I've been writing for a long time, but when I started writing with the intention of sharing it with someone, I started identifying the gaps I had in my knowledge and my understanding of the thing. And once I identified those gaps, I started consuming consciously to fill in those gaps and create a more holistic mental model of the subject. That's what creation does. It gives you agency, independence, and critical thinking skills. Because if you're consuming all the time, your head is just filled with other people's ideas and other people's thoughts. Your mind is filled with chaos. The only way is to take all of the knowledge and the information that's swirling around in that head of yours and use it to create something of your own. This is why creation is a spiritual act, because that's the whole point of spirituality. To anchor your awareness in the present moment, to harness all of your mental resources and to gather all of the fragmented aspects of self and root them in the now. Creation does this by default, because when you create something, you're forced to bring order to the chaos in your mind. The point of doing this isn't for recognition or validation or to somehow go viral. This has to be entirely intrinsic, meant as a practice to save your soul. So what I'm saying is, your art matters, even if its only purpose is to pull you back into the land of the living. Forget evolution for a moment. First, pull yourself back from devolving into this douche zombie that they're intent on turning you into. The way to overcome attention retardation is to dedicate as much of your time as you can to the process of creation. Here's how you can start creating right this moment. Pick something you love, write a journal entry, sketch a doodle, or build something simple. You don't have to write a novel or shoot a full-length feature film. It's not about skills, it's about taking back control of your mind. Dedicate 30 minutes a day to creating. Turn off distractions, put your phone away, and let yourself get lost in the process. You'll thank me later. Instead of trying to limit consumption, which is an uphill battle at the best of times, start consuming consciously. Make it fuel for your creativity. Watch, read, or listen to things that inspire action, not just kill brain cells. If this video hit home for you, if you felt that chaos, that restless itch to consume but never create, then let this be your wake-up call. Start today, start small, and if you're ready to go deeper, then stick around, because that's exactly what we're doing here. Helping you reclaim your focus, master your mind, can access flow states at will. If that sounds like something you want more of, then hit subscribe, because the best way to escape mindless consumption is to start creating with intention. Now go create something, and I'll see you in the next one.